themes, allow me to briefly introduce our three panelists tonight. FDNY Lieutenant Adrian Walsh served with Ladder 20 on 9/11. Arriving just before the second tower fell, she then participated in the rescue and recovery operation. Retired PAPD Detective Thomas McHale Jr. had various roles at the site throughout the recovery, including working as an iron worker on the night shift. And as local 40 iron worker, James Gaffney arrived at Ground Zero on 9/11, working there for about 5 months. So to Adrian, Thomas, and James, I want to thank you for coming here and sharing your stories. We're honored to be in your presence. The moderator for this evening's program is Clifford Channon, Executive Vice President and Deputy Director for Museum Programs. Kindly remain seated after the program, and again, thank you for your service and for joining us on this important occasion.
Thank you very much, Joel. Let me extend my welcome as well to Tom, Adrian, and Jim, and also to all of you. It is very warm and very important that we're seated here in the heart of the museum for the 15th anniversary of the recovery and cleanup period, and that the presence of so many members of the 9/11 community, so many members of the 9/11 family being here, has that heart beating more deeply and more profoundly than all of us who are here every day to work. So thank you for coming. I'd like to turn to the three of you. It is 15 years since the end of the cleanup that we marked on May 30th. And I wonder, as you think about your time here and the years that have passed, is 15 years a long time or a short time in your sense of this place and what you do here? We start next to me with Thomas Brown.
Pretty quick. It doesn't seem like 15 years. My second memorial. It brings you back pretty quickly. It's not, a date doesn't go by where something doesn't remind you whether it's the person it was or something you see or aired on television, whatever it might be. But seeing things that you touched and you could smell, it brings it back.
I think it seems like a blink in some ways. And it can be very emotional. And I tend to separate in terms of how it felt in terms of time and the person that I was prior to. And I think that I see a great difference between myself prior to and now. But yes, in terms of time, it seems like I blinked and 15 years went by. But yeah, it seems like
Yeah. Well, seeing what they've done to the project over the years, the site, it seems like a long time. It seems like it was a long time ago. It seems like it was a long time in the making to get to this point right now. But what we did to this place is just, it's beyond words. It's really touching. It's really beautiful, really something special.
Thank you. This before and after that Adrian mentioned, I wondered if you might each reflect a little bit on the changes that you've seen, not just in yourselves, but in the community of people you know who worked here. The passage of time has a lot of ways of having an impact on people, but how do they look back? Start with Jim.
Well, basically, when we were down here, when the towers came down, it seems like everybody was together. Everybody was on board. Now it seems like people are not, as friendly as they were. It just seems that some people have forgotten what happened down there, and I certainly have not. Just like I said, I remember walking out here feeling like $1 million because everybody in the community, everybody around was passing the water, doing whatever they could to help you out. Now, I just wish it went back to the way it was when it happened. People, stuck together like that.
it really was a tight-knit group down you came and you worked with people and you really bonded with them and you had a goal. So I miss that. I miss that feeling, and I miss those people around me, because that's what helped you get through, really. It was just saying hello to everybody in the morning, and just everybody was there with the same mindset, and everybody would do anything they could for it. And it's, as he said, the city turned out. I mean, we had people clapping for us when we left, which, you know, it is absolutely amazing what the people of this city did. So that's always going to be just ingrained in my mind, what New York City and what New Yorkers were at that moment. And I always think that, God forbid, something ever happens again, that we will rise and we will meet the challenge, whatever it is.
I can't say that I was actually for Memorial. And in the early days, of course, my mind has changed tremendously, seeing where the country is going, and there are those who want to forget that day and its aftermath, and now I'm glad that that this place is here to reflect, and escorted today by a family member who treats this as his brother's cemetery, you know, and seeing where the country's been going the last, you know, couple of years, I'm happy that it's here to remind future generations of not just what happened, but how we all came together.
Let me ask about the impact of the time here on the communities that you're all part of, because one of the most powerful impacts of the 15 years has been the impact on people's health. What have you seen around you? What have you observed in the community as this time has passed?
I've just had a friend recently pass away from 9/11, 2 months ago, 9/11, related to cancer. And to me, it's devastating what he left behind. A 5-year-old daughter, a wonderful wife, a wonderful family, and it just, that's the part of the story that doesn't end. And that's where, you know, it's very sad, you know, the health issues that are going on. And it's just sad.
I've known several people, unfortunately, who have passed away. One gentleman who was in my probie class. One gentleman who was in my probie class. Who was just he was a sweet guy, and all of a sudden you just heard this sound and the message that he had cancer and it wasn't good, and he just disappeared just from your very eyes very quickly. So, and unfortunately, that's not a solitary story. So that's the most thing that I take from this, the impact of how many people have been touched by this in so many ways beyond the day.
For Tom?
As far as
I think you should use this one.
the community portion of it, if I may address that, the communities in both states, and specifically the state that I'm from, New Jersey, that basically rallied around us 5, 10, 15 years later with their monuments and their outreach to extend their facilities, whether it be Eagle Oaks Golf Club, sending invitations to the families. You know, still 15 years later, is something to be said to that these people still get it, they still care, they still want to help, and they continue to do so.
I want to ask about the things that brought you each down here at the beginning, because I really am interested to know if you had any sense of the dangers that you and your colleagues working here were in while you were doing this. The response was extraordinary. I mean, so many of the people out here contributed to this remarkable display of humanity and decency. And yet I'm wondering if there was something in your mind about what the potential cost of that could be. I'll pass to Jim.
I remember watching the trade centers from Bay Ridge, Brooklyn being built. My grandfather, my father, and my uncle all worked down here. So there was no way that I could
not come down here. I was working right across the other side. I was working at 55 Water Street when the first plane hit. We rushed right over. At first I thought it was a small two-passenger plane. When we got there, we really saw what the magnitude of what happened. And not only I and my partner got down here, but I'm just finding out that everybody was leaving their jobs to rush down here to help. And I don't know what it is about iron workers, and we just got to be there. We just got to be there to help. And we had iron workers from all over the country: Chicago, Los Angeles. I mean, from all over the country. They came in droves to come down here to help. And I think that's a testament to to what they do every day.
I remember not even having a thought about not running down here that day. I think that probably anybody in the fire department felt the same way, or the police department, and the iron workers who came. It was New York in trouble, and that's what you did. You just went to your fellow New Yorkers, and you hoped you could do something, And I'll be honest with you, I never thought they were going to fall. I saw them, and I saw the damage done, and multiple floors of fire, and I thought, oh, this is going to be a really long day, but we're gonna do our best. And then when they fell, I thought, oh my God, that was hard to comprehend. And at the time, there was so much going on that really wasn't something that sat in my memory. I was just too busy doing things that day to really let it sit and understand the gravity of the entire situation. But I never had a doubt in my mind that this is where I should be.
I arrived after the first plane hit. I had an office at the One Police Plaza, and was doing rescue and recoveries from mostly the plaza area where you see the big glow. Working in and out of 5 World Trade at the Port Authority Police Desk. And you just went into automatic mode as far as getting as many people out as you can. And like Adrian said, even being inside when the first tower came down, I know it does not make sense, but you didn't anticipate the second one coming down. At least I didn't. I don't remember, thinking, okay, the other one's going to come down. And then coming back to do rescues and to do rescue, which I took part in, the rescue of Will Himeno and John McLaughlin that night into the early morning, and then my first recovery was the following day at one of our offices. I knew that I could attach my skills to it as an iron worker, also as a buffer. The cops were just doing their jobs, doing what they were told to do as far as blocking streets off, not allowing equipment down. But we had to put cranes together, and our cranes are coming down the West Side Highway, and the poor cop is just doing his job. Like, nobody gets through here, but we can't get to work unless we put that crane together. So that's where I met this mug here, and it's like, listen, I need those cranes, I need those booms, freed up, and I go out, talk to the cop on post, and say, listen, I'm Detective McHale. We need those cranes. Okay, and so the logistics of wearing 2 hats really served its purpose as far as making things moving on in the organized chaos that we were all a part of.
You've all spoken of a sense of dedication and commitment that brought you here, but I wonder what also was able to sustain you and your colleagues while you were down here. What was it that kept you together? You've described that each very eloquently, this feeling of unity.
I often open up my closet, and inside my closet I have a little shoebox that was sent from Texas from a young man, probably about 8 years old, named Bryce Connolly. And he sent a pair of work gloves in there, a Snickers bar, Q-tips, hand wash, just essential things. And these things were coming in droves from all over the country. And just knowing that everybody was behind you was the greatest feeling in the world. And like I said, I look at that box, and it's still in my closet 17 years later. I still got that in my closet, and every once in a while I open it up, and I just look at all of the stuff in there. And I'm thankful for all the people that supported the whole effort the whole time.
the response by the general public was amazing, and the amount of support you got. You get gifts and shirts. You know, do you need a pair of socks? We have a pair of socks. We had people walking around the site at certain areas, giving you water, you know, giving you stuff that you wouldn't necessarily think these people are. You know, what are you doing down here? And you know, they're just there to help you. So it was pretty amazing to see that, and then to work with your colleagues who just kept you going. You know? It wasn't easy finding things, but they were like these two gentlemen to my left and right. They're there, and that's what makes you do it. They just keep going.
Like Jim, I have a box. I think most of us do. And I remember going to getting a new pair of gloves and put my hands in it, and it was a roll of lifesavers. And it said, a lifesaver for a lifesaver. I remember they had a massage set up, and I was just so afraid to go get a massage. So I thought it was going to fall apart. But from kids across the country to the people that were there for us, 15 years later, I'll never forget them. People I didn't even meet, but they're always in my heart.
Just wondering, we're sitting here by the last column, and feels like an old friend, I think, to some of you. I wondered if you could just reflect a little bit on what it meant, what it brings to mind for each of you. It was a presence so much on the site. Jim?
Well, I wasn't here for the last column, but the significance it has to me is that we did this in 10 months. We got all of us out of here in 10 months with no fatalities. One guy got hurt, he got caught in the cable, got his leg pretty torn up. But I thought that was amazing. I thought the guys, and the thing is that they came out every day, no matter how beat up they were, and after 12 hours, they want to come back. They go home for 2 hours sleep and come back again. And it's just that fortitude that just, it was just incredible.
I think that column was kind of my true north, because it was always there. It stood straight, it stood tall, and there was no sign of weakness about it. And I think it was indicative of the entire experience. Things around it crumbled, but we didn't crumble. We stood there and we kept going, and we gathered everything around it, and we held it in our hands, and we decided what was true and what needed to be saved, and what needed to be let go. And I think that column was just the thing I looked at every single day to just say, it's still standing, and so are we.
I was very fortunate that I worked with Jim at night on the White Crane, for those of you who were down there, and my daytime foreman, Willie Quinlan, who's standing right there. Say hello, Willie. And I was deployed over to Pakistan and Afghanistan for a couple of months with the Joint Terrorism Task Force. When I returned, Willie and Larry Keating invited me back to cut the last column down, and that's me in the video you see removing the American flag, and I was honored to do so. And but it meant a lot to me to have the honor of taking our flag down.
Thank you very much to each of you. It does strike me that the extraordinary service you gave on that day, on those days and months that followed, is also reflected in being willing to come here and talk about things that are difficult, because these are stories that need to be told, because the people here who also have stories of their own need to hear others tell them as well. And so I'd like to thank you all for extending yourselves this way, as it wasn't easy. and to take part in this marking of the 15th anniversary of the cleanup. Let me ask us all to thank Adrian Walsh, Thomas McGrath, and Jordan Sept. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. Stay in your seats. The 9/11 Memorial Museum's President and CEO, Alice Greenwald, will lead us in a short tribute ceremony after the program concludes now.
Good evening. I'm Alice Greenwald. I'm the president and CEO of the National September 11th Memorial and Museum. And it is with a sense of profound gratitude and respect that I welcome you all to this very special commemoration. I want to just go off script for a moment because as I was sitting and listening to Adrian, Tom, Jim, and Cliff a few moments ago, I was sitting adjacent to the Scroll of Honor and the last column, which is reflected in it. And you know, when these names scroll, they scroll for weeks, the number of people who participated in the recovery here at Ground Zero and at the other two sites. I think you'd have to stay here 24 hours a day for 2.5 weeks to go through all of the names. And when you stand in front of it, not only do you have the last column reflected, connecting you to what happened here, but you see yourself. And it is a reminder that the effort of recovery was something that was carried out by people just like us, but who dedicated their time, their lives, their energy, their commitment to doing what had to be done. And it's a reminder that recovery is something that we do together. I'm very grateful to the participants in the panel for the honesty and the passion with which they share their memories. I also very much want to thank our 9/11 Memorial Board member, Joel Marcus, for being with us tonight, for his support of the Memorial and Museum and its mission, and specifically for his commitment to the rescue and recovery worker community, and to our efforts at educating others about the challenges that so many of you continue to face. I want to take a moment before I go on to recognize retired FDNY firefighter Ray Pfeiffer, who we lost this past weekend, Sunday. By all accounts, Ray was a great human being who personified the best of who we are through his determination, his wisdom, and his selfless actions. Just 1 year ago, he stood here proudly during the national anthem on this stage as the representative of far too many suffering from 9/11 related illnesses, and entrusting the key that he was given by the City of New York to the museum's care and custody. It is now on view in the case to my left, to your right, on display here for all to see in Foundation Hall. As a testament to Ray's fierce determination and selflessness, even through the depths of his own illness, he dedicated years of his life to ensuring that those who worked at Ground Zero alongside him had access to the medical care and the compensation they so desperately needed and continue to need. The key given to Ray was the city's way of acknowledging his extraordinary effort. Ray's passing is a tremendous loss to the 9/11 community, to all of us, and we thank him for all he has done for that community. We offer our heartfelt sympathies and our condolences to Ray's family and his friends. Earlier today, the 9/11 Memorial and Museum announced plans for developing a permanent dedication at the 9/11 Memorial to recognize Ground Zero rescue and recovery workers like Ray. This lasting tribute will be located on the Memorial Glade, a grassy clearing on the southwestern side of the Memorial Plaza. We're still developing the plans and we will have more to announce in the future, but I wanted to share that news with you. It's hot off the presses, and I want to acknowledge it's time and it's deserved. But I want to acknowledge our board chairman, Michael R. Bloomberg, Governor Andrew M. Cuomo, and the many 9/11 health advocates, many of whom are here tonight with us, for their support as the 9/11 Memorial Museum works to realize this dedication. Tonight, as in years past, we gather together in this sacred space to mark the anniversary of the official end of the World Trade Center rescue and recovery operation. 15 years. We honor our first responders, union members, construction workers, relief workers, engineers, contractors, and all those who participated in the unprecedented rescue and recovery effort that began immediately after the 9/11 attacks. It was here at this very spot 15 years ago that the last column was draped in an American flag, laid prone on a truck, escorted off the site in an honor guard procession, marking an emotional end to the World Trade Center recovery operation. It is now standing tall again, as Adrian reminded us. The words spoken by Joe Bradley, operating engineer and World Trade Center recovery worker, at that solemn occasion echo permanently in this space. Those words are on the wall of Foundation Hall. And he said, "We came in as individuals and we'll walk out together." We came in as individuals and we'll walk out together. Joe's words capture the spirit of unity and community that enveloped our nation, a spirit exemplified by the actions and proud legacy of the rescue and recovery workers, a community of individuals who came together in a spirit of solidarity, resiliency, and service when we most needed you. As stewards of our nation's 9/11 history, we at the 9/11 Memorial and Museum want to acknowledge and to express our heartfelt appreciation to all who served, recognize those who are now suffering, and pay tribute to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice by educating our visitors about the plight, the continuing effects of 9/11 on the Ground Zero workers. Last September, with your support, we unveiled 3 new artifacts, including Ray's Key to the City of New York. The presence of this new artifact case in Foundation Hall is just one reflection of the museum's ongoing commitment to educate the public about 9/11 related illnesses and to offer support to the responders and survivors in the 9/11 community who, despite the passage of 15 years, continue to struggle. As we all know, despite the passage of those 15 years, the events of 9/11 continue to affect many individuals and tragically take lives. Our hearts and our thoughts are with all of you and your families, you who have lost colleagues, and your families who grieve over the loss of their loved ones. It is both a solemn responsibility and a sacred obligation that we are assuming to finding additional ways to honor you, to honor all of this group of rescue and recovery workers. Please join me now in a moment of silence as we pay our respects to the men and women who have died. In closing, I'd like to invite everyone here to join me as we continue our tradition of tying a blue ribbon at the base of the last column, paying tribute to all who have sacrificed so much and recognizing those who continue to suffer. Thank you all for being with us today and for marking this most important commemorative date. Thank you.
Bright morning star.
Yes, I do.